Hi everyone, my name's Emma. Welcome to the Champions of Wonder podcast. Here we're going to talk about intentional living. How can we make better choices and decisions to create a life that we want to live and to create a better world to live in? The journey started for me back when I was in college and started to realize that the choices that I made impacted not only myself, but the people around me and people all across the world. And when you realize that your choices have that much influence, you realize how much power you have over your own life and the world that you function and live in. So, what we're going to try and do here is continue to keep up this understanding and to continue to learn about the world that we live in. How I see it is if we are champions of wonder, if we continue to be willing to learn, to be willing to understand the world around us, to continue to be immersed in the beauty that this world has to offer and the parts of the world that aren't so exciting, and to realize that both create the world that we live in, and both are created by choices and decisions that not only we make, but that everyone makes. We live in a collective choice. And every single person's perspective is unique to them. The world that they understand is oftentimes very different from the world that I understand. And the more perspectives that we seek to create, to adapt, to import into our lives, we can begin to see how much we are actually affecting ourselves in every moment of every day. We get to decide how we move through the world, how we see the world, how we interact with our world, and in turn, how that world interacts with us through those choices and decisions. So that is the goal that we're trying to achieve here, is how can we all become more intentional? How can we all become more understanding of this beautiful world that can be difficult, that can be trying, that can be absolutely amazing? And how continuing to want to learn and seeing everything that we do as an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to become the best version of ourselves, really is that important aspect. And for me, back in college, I really began to understand this when I was taking my environmental and engineering classes, and I began to see the impacts of decisions that engineers were being able to make, and that social environmentalists were really trying to counteract, and that people weren't really working together to make these decisions more effective for the overall. And to begin to see the connections between everything that we do in our lives connects to what every other person is doing in their own lives, and that both of those create the world that we live in, and that we can't really separate one movement from another, and that when we affect one thing, we ultimately affect a lot more things that we may be unaware of. But that awareness can be changed, it can be grown, it can be developed, and perspectives allow that change to happen. And when we seek perspective, when we seek knowledge, when we seek learning, when we have this childlike curiosity exuding from us, enabling us to move forward, to be understanding, to be productive, we can really change the world that we understand and the world at large. And that can only be done if we are starting to see how we make choices. And that a lot of the times the choices we make are done through the lens of the past, through something that has occurred. We are judging something that is currently happening. And that usually is unproductive for both parties. And that unproductiveness is something that is really harmful, and that we no longer need to do or can do or want to do anymore. We need to be able to take that step back and say, this is working, this isn't working, how do I move forward? And to also understand that no job that we do can ever be done 24 hours a day. We are going to make mistakes, and we need to give ourselves the ability and the space and the understanding that, yes, I made a mistake, but I can learn from it and I can choose to no longer make this mistake. And then if I happen to make the same mistake or similar mistake, in that moment, I yet again get to choose to make a better decision. better choice. And oftentimes that is what happens. We keep having to face the same situation over and over again until we learn something from it. And that is when patterns are finally broken. When we see the same thing coming up in our lives, we usually see that this is happening over and over again. And once we learn a lesson, the pattern stops. So this is actually something that is going to propel us into a better world, and it'll change the path of so many different things that are happening. If different aspects have gotten us to this moment, those same aspects cannot get us out of this moment. And it is awareness that will bring us out of that to the other side, to a new understanding, to a new perspective. And that is what we're seeking all the time, is perspective. And we do that through learning about the world, through traveling, through books, through movies, through shows, through documentaries. We get to learn about the world and our place in it. And that is what we're really going to be focusing on next week, is how do we look at entertainment and learn lessons from it. Even if you're watching a show that you may think there's really nothing to learn here, there is always something to be learned, and those lessons can oftentimes be applied. And at the end of it, there's always just a few lessons that continue to keep coming up. And we're going to go into all of that a little bit more and look at different questions like, how did I get here? What does this mean? What is this person saying? And we can always be importing new data and new information. And when we have that new information, we can make new choices. We can make new decisions. And that is really the goal of life, is to continue to learn, continue to really see what's going on. How do I adjust knowing this now? And that is something that we really need to be doing as well, is when we learn something, we apply it, and then we can move forward. That way we aren't stuck on the past, we aren't stuck on something that we did. We can just gently move forward by having this forgiveness for ourselves and for others. And the way that we treat ourselves is really how we treat others, and the way that we see the world is first created in our minds. The reality of the world is first created through how we see the world, and then we see the world. So that image can be created by us to be full of joy and of love and of happiness. It's not an easy step to get there, but every step in the right direction is a step away from the direction we no longer want to be in. And if we can do that, we can give ourselves the space and the time to overcome what is happening, and we can do that over and over again. We're going to learn, we're going to make mistakes along the way, and both of those are important. As long as we can overcome them, we can get to the other side, and on the other side is the person who we have always been. As soon as we start being more authentic, we make choices that are authentic to who we are, we will let go of everything that antagonizes us inadvertently, almost as if we didn't mean to, but it will happen because we can only choose to do so many things in one day. And it's really about, can we make those choices even better? Is there somewhere where we can make a better choice and use our time more effectively in a way that is going to grow us and grow others? And the thing is, we can. We have so much power over our lives and over the choices that we make. So, hope to see you soon, and that you continue to be a champion of wonder, to continue to move with childlike curiosity about your world and your place in it. Tune in next time, but until then, have an amazing day.